Welcome to what is this? Episode 8?
Eight, I believe.
Episode 8. I wrote episode 7 on our outline, but it is episode 8. Um and this week we'll have some, obviously, Ryan, with the newsworthy headlines there, and of course talking about what's happened around the league. But we will also have the Titans game we'll talk about coming up. We'll also talk about 25 draft picks, because what happened this week in college football, and episode 5 of Hard Knocks. So, what do we got for news, Ryan?
All right, around the league here. So number one, I got a little bit of a heartwarming story. Damar Hamlin to start first game since suffering cardiac arrest in January 2023. He is
Right.
starting. So it's kind of a little good news there. Commanders guard Sam Cosmi agrees to 4-year, $74 million extension. Broncos cornerback Patrick Surtain II agrees to 4-year, $96 million extension. Texans quarterback Davis Mills agrees to 1-year, $5 million extension to back up CJ Stroud. Brandon
Great.
Ayuk on contract process. I made it a little bit more difficult than I needed. So it's nice to see he's a little bit open about the fact that he. It seemed like he didn't really know what he wanted to do with that.
Yeah, because he was going to the Steelers for sure. There was talks of him with other teams that he turned down, with which was more money.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
Yeah.
uh, I don't know. It was the fact that it wasn't about money. It was like, well, then what is it about? If
Yeah.
it's about winning, get you in a good spot,
Right. Because he.
spot relearn everything.
Yeah, and they gave up. Did you see that Cleveland showed what they were going to give up, which was a second, a third, and uh, Amari Cooper? So they're about to give up the house and then also have to pay him. So,
Yeah,
but he said he didn't want to go there.
yeah, I wouldn't either. It's like you're making bad decisions just to get me here for the long term of the franchise. Really, to
Yeah,
me.
yeah, I think so too. Let's see. Teen suspected in shooting of Ricky Parcels, charged with attempted murder.
Oh, really?
Yep, they put him to full charge there too. And then I think I saw that there was two other charges as well. I wasn't exactly sure what they were, but I did see that. Uh,
I did
Go ahead.
him just walk ambulance with a
Mm-hmm.
gunshot, and so I was like, that's pretty G, actually.
Yeah, he was in the chest too. It was a through and through. It didn't hit anything though, hit any organs or anything, which
It
is
chest wound. Jeez.
yeah. Let's see. Jets cornerback Michael Carter II agrees to 3-year, $30.75 million extension. Defensive lineman Cameron Hayward agrees to 3-year, $45 million contract. Giants head coach Brian DeBall to take over play calling role. I saw that as well. I thought that was a little interesting.
Yeah, we the Hard Knocks episode, though, we both feel like he's the football guy in the room anyway, though, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Brown signed 20-year stadium rights to deal. Yeah, Brown signed 20-year stadium rights deal with Huntington Bank as they position possible new home. So we've had like a lot of news about 3 or 4 different teams talking about new stadiums. I know the Bears are, Browns are. There was a New York team, I think that was, or somebody up there that was possibly looking out. Maybe the Jets. I can't remember exactly. All of them kind of looking at some new stadiums. It looks like so. I think everybody's just looking to get the draft and the uh, Super Bowl in their places.
Um, and let's be honest, a ton of other events. Like, I don't know if you could get done in time, but you got the Olympics coming to town, the World Cup, and then of course, like, and you want Taylor Swift to come to town and play your venue, you got to have a stadium to house all the people.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
So beneficial financially, team wise. I also heard on NFL they're talking about the Bears and building a stadium and stuff, and it's like makes your franchise worth so much more money if you own the stadium. You
yeah,
know,
it really does.
so build it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
For money and
they
just
will come.
yeah, exactly.
Trent Williams ends holdouts, finalizes reworked 3-year, $82.66 million deal. That man just loves to not be in training camp.
You mentioned that at the very beginning. You said you feel like he kind of always does this to not have camp, and it's funny. It's like the timing was, you know, and I saw a statement from him saying, "Yeah, I wanted to get back out there with my teammates after Ricky got shot, and be all together." I was like, "Yeah, that's what it was about." It was. It's like, oh, the
Just,
training camp's done. That guy.
yeah.
So
Bengals continue to take Jamar Chase's status day to day as wide receiver sits out of practice again.
come on, Jamar, you're on one of my fantasy teams. I need you out there.
Do you think
Every
he?
risk because it's like you're not going to be a weapon
Yeah,
week one.
I saw something that was Bengals just need to look at CeeDee Lamb and say, Jamar Chase will give you this deal. This is what you're worth. We can't give you Justin Jefferson money because Justin Jefferson is the guy right now in the league. But you're worth the same as CeeDee Lamb. And I don't understand. Either A, the Bengals are making it too hard, or B, Jamar Chase doesn't want to be there.
Yeah,
And I don't
right.
know which one it is. But
I don't really either. I feel like he does want to be there. I heard that he wants $1 or 1 penny more than um than Justin Jefferson.
that's crazy. Do you think he's as good as Justin Jefferson?
No.
Me neither. I think he's with CeeDee Lamb. He's that second tier down, which isn't a
Right.
bad receiver either. But
Right.
two more here. Marquise Brown not expected to play week one, and then Dolphins side head coach Mike McDaniel to multi-year contract extension. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, they should have.
Yeah.
I mean,
so.
that was a good move on their part. He's kind of the swag that they like down there in Miami, and he's kind of the face of their franchise almost. A little bit.
Yeah. I mean, he's a kind of a little football genius there too. I mean, he knows exactly what's kind of going on all the time. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I got for around the league.
Yeah. Power rankings up, and they did note on there that they said, "Who will challenge Chiefs?" Question mark. Jets, Bears, trending up. So, everybody see our name, and that was our weekly news update. So we're heading to our last week of preseason, finally, and we're gonna get to see Caleb Williams for whole 60 minutes. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
That game coming up is versus the Titans. It's at home. What will the stats be, and who will be the standouts of the game, do you think?
Standouts. I mean, I think it's really hard to choose, to be honest. Honestly, for both sides, this is kind of as a Bears fan, it's exciting to see what our team can be. Also, we're gonna find out what the Titans are, because they're kind of making a quiet storm. Will Levis seems to be doing some stuff there as well.
Yeah.
But I think, your kind of standouts obviously going to be Caleb, because we're all kind of looking to see what he's going to do.
Right.
I think kind of said we're going to see, I think, that defensive line for the Bears. I mean, we're going to see what they're kind of made of. We're going to kind of see Montez Sweat and who's going to be on that opposite side if Austin Booker is going to be out there. I think this is the most intriguing part too, because we're kind of going to see who's being put on that defensive line across from Montez Sweat.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously Caleb Williams. Yardage wise, do you think over 200 passing yards?
Yeah, I think you're like. My guess would be 223.
223 with what? A couple touchdowns.
2 touchdowns.
I agree. Somewhere probably in that. I mean, anything above 200 yards to me is successful,
Hmm.
and for one passing touchdown, I'm happy because he's a rookie, and I don't know Titans defense, but I don't know. I haven't heard about them being bad. Or
Yeah, their
terrible. So
defense doesn't scare me either, though.
no, it's like you said, they're like quietly kind of making a storm. I've heard a lot of things about Will Levis kind of being the guy, and they did move some parts around, but there's no Derrick Henry there, and
Yeah,
that's your safety blanket, for whoever your quarterback is.
right. You
Um,
got D Hop Burks, right? Is that what his name was? That kind of what they traded away to get. They traded AJ Brown away to get him.
yeah,
And then yeah, I
yep,
mean, I feel like their offense could be good, but we're not really. I'm not scared of them as a team, but they could be good.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I I'm more scared of their offense being surprisingly well than I'm in their defensive slowing us down,
Yeah,
so to speak. The only thing that can slow us down offensively will be ourselves, our lack of experience and chemistry. I don't think it'll be their defense, like it will be our defense for them, or it should be
right.
to me. Um, and let's see who else. I think you're going to see a little bit of Rome just because I don't think they can cover everybody. They're going to put shade the safety over to DJ Moore or to Keenan Allen over the top. So Rome should have some openings in the middle if he's kind of the slot or Cole Komet.
Yeah,
And then you saw Swift did on the one play he had in preseason. So I think he's kind of our scat back, and then you got your kind of power backs
with Herbert,
behind
yeah,
that.
and Johnson for sure. I
It's
think
gonna
those are your
be a game
yeah,
easy for Caleb. You know, just some ground and pound
yep,
uh, him out, and then maybe passing later on as he gets comfortable and gets his feet underneath him. So I'm gonna say 125 yards rushing collectively from the running backs, maybe even just one,
yeah.
depending on how much if they can break their run. But I just again don't know anything about Titans defense. Are they competitive? Are they better against the runner? I don't know anybody that's not secondary.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, because we have Byard now.
Yeah, and that was like the guy that I would want from that team, really, who I thought about. But um, yeah, I can't think of anybody right offhand that is like a standout necessarily.
Yeah, I was looking at their
Uh,
depth chart right now to kind of see. Let's see. Oh, they have Calvin Ridley.
yeah.
I forgot about that. Uh,
Oh, Tony Pollard. Okay. So they got. I mean, I'm not as worried about Tony Pollard down as I am about bringing Derrick Henry down, but I'm also an Alabama guy, so
uh,
Jamal Adams.
Amani Hooker is a actual is pretty decent too. Safety wise for them. Quandre
Yeah.
Diggs. Amani Hooker's actually an Iowa guy.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. But I mean, Kenneth Murray Jr. is a decent linebacker if I remember right, and then Jeffrey Simmons. So I feel like they've got a fairly like average defense. I'm not gonna say it's great. I'm not gonna say it's bad. What the heck?
Um,
You're
they
freaking. That was so weird. Sorry to interrupt. You just had a thought bubble of a dislike thumb pop out of your head.
weird. Uh, L'Jarius Sneed. That's the big pickup for their
Oh,
offseason
yep.
pickup. He was like the hero of Kansas City or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, so him as cornerback and uh, nobody of note on the defensive line.
Yeah.
You really couldn't ask for a better defense to kind of start against. You got Jamal Adams and L'Jarius Sneed back there, Quandre Diggs. So their secondary is pretty good, but you're not going to have much pressure up front.
No, I wouldn't think so.
And it's like one of those linebackers is going to have to run with either Cole Kmet or DeAndre Swift, right? So then you run into them getting exhausted or just giving up big plays because I mean, there's not a linebacker I don't think in the league that can run with um, uh, any of our running backs really.
Yeah. You're going to have a hard time doing that for anybody at that point.
Yeah, yeah, especially as if you know you've been doing it all day and I don't know. I feel like we're in a pretty solid spot. Hold on one second. I got to plug in my phone here. Sorry about that. The view's getting all skewed there. Um, I don't know. My concerned about our defense looking like it has where we just give up slash runs, you know, with Tony
Yeah.
Pollard there.
But Tony Pollard kind of showed himself he's not that great as the running back.
Tony Pollard needs a second guy
Yeah.
for sure. And their running backs are Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears.
Yeah.
So Spears isn't he's a backup for sure, right?
Yeah. Because Tony Pollard's always done well, like behind Zeke, or because he was right behind DeMarco Murray his last year, right? It's Tony Pollard.
Maybe.
I think he might have been. I can't remember for sure. But anyways, I mean, he's always been that second guy, not the first guy. And I mean, Dallas figured that out. That was one thing Dallas has actually done well.
And Zeke and looked really good. They got rid of Zeke just last year. Tony was the guy, and then they let him go.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, it's running backs. You know what I mean? It's just
right.
Not Saquon Barkley, and then the rest of the league basically kind of you know what they are and how good they perform.
Right.
What do you think about special teams?
I think Torrey Taylor is going to play well, as always.
Yeah,
he's gonna kick the hell out of a ball.
That's the comforting thing I think about it is that if Caleb is not, we still have the 3 announced like we did kind of against Kansas City or whatever. We're all right.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to come deep, and then it's even more exciting because defense comes out and could possibly score points there. Yeah. You know.
Hey, Will Levis, I get that you might be the guy, but also start from the 5 every drive.
It's game plan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you almost have to run it from that goal line.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I'm excited for all the kickoff stuff just to see what it happens when it really counts, you know?
Yeah, I feel like this is our first actual look at the kickoff because nobody wanted to show what they were going to do in preseason.
Right. And everyone's playing around because no one knows kind of analytically what the real situation is, right? So is it do you want speed guys out there? Do you want blockers? Do you want, you know? I think there's kind of a kind of some R&D still going on really on, you know, what's going to be good and what works. And it kind of depends on the matchup too, right? If they're running a bunch of blockers out there, maybe just some speed guys. I'm curious to see how they use Velas on a regular basis or if they do. Because if he just barely made the squad, I mean, he's in a really deep running back room, you know?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about in the next segment with the Hard Knocks episode and stuff. But you know, I'm curious if he is a gadget player, if he's out there in 2 running back sets, you know, kind of that sort of stuff, you know, because Shane Waldron is kind of that's his thing is matchups, right? So if you get a running back that you know linebacker's going to take, well then who's taking the other running back, right? It's either another linebacker or you got a cornerback that's maybe smaller, or you know, so you could really game plan those matchups if you got a gadget player like that. But I don't know if he's there yet,
right?
Out there regularly.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what they do if we scheme. I feel like we'll maybe scheme like 1 or 2 plays, but I don't think we're going overboard with it, unless they see some openings. But I think we're mostly going to see him kind of doing special teams, stuff like that. But we'll see. I mean, I'd be excited to see him in some more opportunity roles, but
If you can get the ball in his hands, he is a great runner. That's the issue, right? Is he's not a great catcher, I don't think.
yeah.
And that Hard
Honestly,
Knocks,
like Devin Hester a little bit.
yeah, exactly.
Devin
Yeah,
Hester was never a good wide receiver, but somehow was
no,
always a great gadget player.
he
And
was ability as a wide receiver just on the blocking for running backs and
yeah,
running the routes he should be running because he was like a feel guy, right?
yeah,
Like if you watch him running back, it was like he didn't necessarily go to the blocks all the time. It was by feel, and those quick change of directions that he did. Um, but I agree, that's kind of Velas. Watching that one run he had where he kind of changed the direction of the field a couple times to get like all the defense in that last preseason game chasing him and end up getting a touchdown. I was like, that's how he stays in the league right there.
yeah,
Is Cordell or Devin Hester-ish.
right, yeah,
Um, but again, you can't just run jet sweeps with him and expect it to work every time either.
right. I
Every time
mean,
he goes to
they're gonna see him out there and immediately know what's coming out. Like,
right.
but
So I know we both picked them, I think, in our early picks to win against the Bears. What do you think? What do you think the score is?
all right, score wise, I'm gonna go. I'll put 24 Bears. 10 Titans.
I was actually thinking same 24 for the Bears and 17 for the Titans.
17? Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think 24-10 is pretty decent. I just don't see our defense giving up much.
You're probably right. And honestly, they're my defense in one of my fantasy leagues, so I hope they don't. They look like they gel really well. I'm just trying to be I'm trying to be overly the other direction
Yeah.
than optimistic about who they are. Just because last year they came out against Green Bay and just I almost stopped watching football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So devastating to go through to be so hyped after the offseason and then have that first loss.
Yeah. I could even
So
see it maybe 17-10 Bears.
I think 17-10 or 24-10 is probably not a bad call.
Yeah.
Because again, that defense could get some points, right? Maybe it's not the offense points. Maybe they only score a couple touchdowns and the rest is all just defense. Because if you got Troy Taylor pinning you deep and then the defense rushing you, it's a fumble in the end zone or tackle or run out the back of the end zone or intentional grounding while you're in the end zone. It's that easy to get some points out of it.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, I think we'll also have a pretty high scoring defense as well.
I think so too.
So that our take on the game versus the Titans coming up. Next segment here is the Hard Knocks episode 5, another tear jerk based on the cuts that came out and all the things that go into building a successful roster and still trying to keep all the key players kind of in the room with the practice squad stuff. I did like the Brett Rippon getting picked up by Minnesota. And he's like, man, I'm sad to go because it's such a special place and they're going to do something special this year. So it was good to hear people that aren't even on the team anymore that are on a rival team actually now to be saying that about the Bears because he was in the room and he saw kind of. And I mean, maybe all of the quarterbacks are in whatever team they're on. They think that, but that was cool to see.
I want to interrupt you just for a second. Cubs, Imanaga, and two relievers combined for no hitter.
Yeah, very nice.
Yep.
So, and honestly, we talked about it before. The Cubs, they're a they're a second half team. I mean, they're a whole different team now than they were a month ago, and kind of all of us just shaking our head are now like, this is what we wanted. This is you don't have to win every game, but
it's too little, too late at this point, though. Like it's
just a struggle to be possibly in the conversation now.
Yeah.
But I do like seeing success and Craig Counsell getting the team gelling. A no hitter is nice, especially had so much trouble with the bullpen and all that.
Back to Hard Knocks though. So I had a couple little things. I sadly fell asleep halfway through the episode. So, uh, uh but so a couple things I had was Caleb Williams. The editing on his 7-on-7s. That was such a cool edit.
Dude, I was like, what is going on? Is he running two plays at once? He just goes to the other side. But I realized it was like, yeah, I was going to mention that too. The cuts were so good on that.
Yeah.
They just kept boom, 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 next play, showing him. And it really made you realize how much work he's getting in.
Yeah.
Because when we go to practice, you don't get to see necessarily everything that just he's doing because you're looking around at everywhere, right? Oh, this team, special teams over here doing this. But man, just watching him throw, and it was like not just first team players too. It was some of the secondary players and all that. Just pass. So it made me feel a lot better. It's like, man, they are getting a ton of work in.
Yeah, and you could hear the coaches make a decision 18 or hey, good look or things like that where it's just in the background. I thought that was super cool to kind of get those little snippets as they're calling it out and then jumping into just watching him actively read the field. And I don't know if you caught it, but that last throw he made, I think it was to Odunze. Odunze didn't turn around, and then all of a sudden he turned around, the ball's in his hands.
They were all like, oh my.
Yeah.
They're like, even like Tyson was like, geez, Caleb.
Yeah.
I was like, man. So even the other quarterbacks in the room know he's something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what makes great the Aaron Rodgers and the Tom Brady's is the anticipation.
Yeah, and knowing the player.
Yeah. I was watching Shannon Sharp talk about John Elway. He said how he didn't realize how good he was until he went and played with other quarterbacks. Because where John placed the ball for him, he knew where the defensive player was coming from. He was like, if it was front shoulder, he knew there was a guy coming on the back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he held just by where that ball was, what he had to do. Stop, or juke out or whatever it was. So I was like, wow, that's a different level, and I feel like we might actually have a guy that's capable of that now.
Right.
I will say I felt optimistic about other quarterbacks we've had, but it just looks different to see it. I mean, we never had Hard Knocks before, so we didn't have a amazing edit like they did, but geez, it looked different. The passes looked like they're coming out quick. They're on a rope. They're directly to the player. And they're kind of not. They were obviously showing the best throws, but they're not. None of them were like defense was right. It was always out of their reach.
Honestly, I think Odunze too. Like with that Odunze pass, like we haven't seen that type of anticipation from Trubisky or Fields, where they're hitting people before they're even open. Like their biggest things was they were always waiting until the very end, last minute to throw that ball, and it's just cool to see. And he's facing one of the best defenses in the NFL, like every week.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I think was really is really cool is that it is a great defense, and they are not taking it easy on him.
No,
they are trying to make it better.
Which leads me to my next point. Jalen Johnson helping Odunze, and kind of Odunze helping Jalen Johnson. That was a very cool moment, and I feel like the Hard Knocks episode where they're running the drill together, doing just one-on-ones, and Jalen learning how the new guy might run a route, and then Odunze being up against one of the best cornerbacks, in my opinion, not the NFL's opinion, of going against him and learning like how to maybe get open in certain spots or maybe some new moves. That was really cool to me because you see this team is just coming together in such a way that I feel like we haven't seen in a long time.
If maybe not ever for the quarterback position, because before it was like the defense was so good, which we're kind of almost there, maybe not to where we were in the 06 season, but man, there's some pieces that are real close.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really have that cornerback then. We had Urlacher, but we don't necessarily have that linebacker that's Urlacher now, but we have a cornerback that's the shutdown guy. I think the league's going to be on notice this year, though. They're going to definitely talking about Jalen Johnson and what he's capable of. I loved how that little bit and Jalen Johnson about and young man, my legs are good. He's like, no, can we work out? Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
like you. He's like, hey, I want to put some time in, and then he's like, oh yeah, let's do it.
Right. I think that was very cool.
Then Odunze, like one of the cuts that showed the first one he did, he was like, Jalen got mad. He's like, because he obviously didn't made the wrong decision or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that. Just putting in the time and the effort. One of the things was when they were down at the Georgia game, Ryan Poles was during the episode. You probably missed it because in the second half,
Yeah.
but they were at Georgia just recruiting, and the GM, which is funny, it's very telling of him to say, the GM of the Giants, that Joe Sheehan or whatever his name was there, and he's like, he literally said it's got to be nice to not be looking at quarterbacks to Ryan Poles. So it's like, you're looking at quarterbacks because you have
Yeah.
Daniel Jones.
You just paid for him.
Yeah. And Ryan Poles is like, yeah, it just is the contrast of the two GMs, you know, is definitely very, very obvious to me. Of course, I'm very biased, so, you know, take that for what you will, but this is just your average Joe sports fan, you know, take on it. Ryan Poles cried during cuts. If you saw that, Adrian Colbert.
I did not get to see his. I fell asleep right as they started talking about him.
Yeah, and he cried. He had to leave the room, went and cried in the other room for a second, came back in, and he's like, "You're just a good dude." He's like, you know, I'll do everything I can to make sure, you know, something works out for you. And he's like, you never know. Yeah. So that part was really cool, and a bunch of the players saying that Ryan Poles was one of the best GMs they've ever worked with is really cool to hear.
I like
he cares about players.
I like that he was giving reasons to them being cut instead of it being, hey, we cut you and you're not on a team anymore. I thought that was very cool in a way too, because he used that in his own experience to reflect on that, which was very cool.
Yeah, you saw that part too. It did cut to him, showing him being on the Bears.
Yep, I did see that.
Yeah, and so it mentioned Ryan Poles as being Bear and being cut in the building, so he knows how it feels and takes it personally. And it's, you know, it's not just a business too. I mean, it is, but it isn't. You know what I mean? And that's, I think it matters to players. I mean, in negotiations and all the things that go into being a GM and building a strong team and good chemistry, that's part of it. You have to have the culture start at the top.
And who knows? I mean, Poles could have to call these guys if God forbid, somebody goes down. Like,
and you don't know, a guy just doesn't go focus on a different position or focus on the one thing you told him that, and becomes great. You know what I mean? Because these 20-year-old kids, I mean, there's, you know, the sky's the limit for most of them athletically, really, you know, if they put the time and effort into it. I mean, most of the players that we hear about not being good isn't because their talent level, it's because the work ethic and the, you know, the knowledge stuff of it, putting the time in. So yeah, I think, you know, developing those relationships matters. And how many of these guys end up being coaches and assistants and trainers and everything in the league? You know what I mean? So,
right.
And not have those relationships and then be positive, you know?
Yeah, I think so. Go ahead.
I was just going to leave a legacy, you know, leaving a legacy of being a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And being someone that's good to work with is a good one to leave.
Yeah.
Congratulations, DJ Moore, on a new baby.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. So they cut to them buying a new house. His daughter, obviously really cute, showed everyone around the mansion, kind of. And he said he hopes he retires a Bear. He plans on it, and they're expecting their third now.
Wow, that's cool.
An actual baby, another fan.
Yeah. Very cool.
So that was the last episode of Hard Knocks, right, for the Chicago Bears section?
Yeah,
because
now we're gonna get the in season for the AFC North, West,
North.
Yeah. Which will be very cool too, that they're gonna follow all four teams.
Yeah, that'll give a little more interest, I think, on stuff to see. You know, more storylines.
Yeah.
Hard Knocks finding those storylines. So yeah, Hard Knocks episode 5, the end of the Bears run on Hard Knocks. It was awesome to see them. I think we both really enjoyed it, and
Yeah.
I think it made us look good comparatively to Giants' tenure
Yeah.
on.
I'd honestly, I'm thinking about rewatching it just to kind of see the little things I missed.
I'll keep watching it for sure.
Yeah.
I'll watch it 2 times through. So next segment is Would You Rather? I'm just gonna list a couple players here on the same team that the franchise might have to choose from. Not that they're gonna have to, but they're all big name contracts that are gonna go against your salary cap eventually. So these are kind of ones that are coming up. I already gave Ryan the list, so he knows who they are, but I kind of want to get his take. So first one here is we got from San Francisco, Christian McCaffrey or Brock Purdy. If you had to choose between those two, which one?
I am honestly going Brock Purdy. I think CMC, great running back, love him, but he is a running back, and we see them kind of fall off a lot. We're already seeing him kind of have some injury issues that he's never really had before. So honestly, I'd go with Brock Purdy. Plus, even if Brock Purdy is a scheme quarterback, which I'm back and forth on, it's a scheme quarterback that fits your scheme. So it's hard to find.
Well, and a lot of these are kind of on this list are quarterbacks versus other players in the list. So it's kind of like which position you choosing. Are you giving Brock $55 million?
That's top right now, right?
Yeah, I mean around top money. I don't know if he would get top, but he's got to be in that conversation for 50s.
Yeah, I think I am.
Jordan Love had one playoff game and got 55 plus, right? So
Yeah,
how can Brock at least that? He's got
yeah,
Super Bowls?
yeah. I definitely would say I'm giving him kind of the next contract.
So moving down the list here, down to Florida, Baker Mayfield or Mike Evans.
Can I choose neither?
I mean, honestly, yeah. If you go into a rebuild,
I mean, Mike Evans is going to be a small. Like, I'd probably lean Mike Evans if I have to choose one, but he's probably a small contract, right? I mean, he's getting up there in age.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's definitely can't be Tyreek Hill money.
No,
Imagine, but
unless Baker balls out this year.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, talent-wise, you choose Mike Evans over Baker.
Yeah, unless Baker has, I feel like he played really well last year. But if he doesn't,
he got a chip. Does he still? Now he's the guy, right?
Right.
And last guy he messed it up a bit, right?
Right. And I feel like he, if he plays well, I might start leaning his way, but I still think I'm not choosing either, to be honest.
Yeah.
I hope you get a good quarterback here out of the draft, or maybe pick up a free agent quarterback. Yeah, Mike Evans is 31.
Yeah, and in the wide receiver world, that's ancient, really.
Yeah, so
I don't want to go too deep up there, but and I would love him to be back for a few more years. And he just had his best year, but the drop off's coming. You just know it is, right?
Yeah.
And that's in maybe not in catches or touchdowns or yards, but in speed, based on age. So the good ones figure out how to get around that, you know. But there is a drop off. I'm a Christian McCaffrey or Christian based on age and quarterback value over running back. I just can't value running back positions. And same thing here. I mean, I would probably pick Baker because he's younger. If you gone to head had to pick one of them, but I do not feel comfortable with either because Baker's been a roller coaster. Pretty solid, but I think he is the push off king of wide receivers. That's how he gets open a lot. Is pushes off, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't get called.
If you can't take that away from his game, it's like he's not getting a step on anybody anymore, you know.
Right.
Next one on the list is here's a little weird one because it's defense versus offense, but Devontae Adams or Christian Wilkins.
Christian Wilkins. This wasn't hard for me either.
Yeah, which I know they signed. They probably won't come up in the same year, contract year or whatever. I know that, but I'm choosing the same one just because of the value. You can get really good wide receivers. They're almost a dime a dozen in the draft if you are good at evaluating properly. Defensive linemen, they could be amazing in college and not do nothing in NFL, and maybe vice versa. You might not, a guy goes to a small school and ends up being some. So I'm taking Christian Wilkins. He's just too good to. There's just too many sacks to go with Devontae.
And honestly, I think Devontae Adams is a giant kind of locker room problem. Like last year, a lot of the team was like him complaining that he wasn't getting the ball here. Poor me, it's not Aaron Rodgers anymore. Like just nonstop, and it's just that gets old quick, and I don't want to be signing him.
The receiver show that he was on, he literally says that I would rather get the ball, do good than win the game.
Right.
And not in so many words, but that right there is kind of, and again, it's value.
Yeah.
He needs a good quarterback, and if you don't have a good quarterback, Devontae Adams doesn't really matter.
Right.
And defensive end, you don't need anybody else but him, right?
And he costs a lot more, I bet.
Yeah. That's right. Oh, I don't know what some of the top defensive ends are getting, but yeah, I think, for production wise, you're probably overpaying for Devontae. Micah Parsons or Dak Prescott for Dallas? Again, defense and off.
Probably Micah Parsons.
Yeah. I'm more of a kind of a defensive leaning guy, but I don't think Dak's going to get the job done ever.
Yeah, I've been kind of on that board since Dak has taken over that I just don't believe he is the guy. He just seems like it's another Tony Romo, where he does pretty decent in the season, the entire season, and then you get to playoffs and you don't do anything again.
Right.
Which is apparently what the Cowboys love because they keep him around for whatever reason.
Yeah. Yep. This is that wasn't a hard one for me. No. I'll take the value. Again, I can see Micah Parsons winning a championship. I just cannot see Dak winning a championship.
Secretly, I hope it's not a thing at all, and Micah Parsons is an easy trade to the Bears, and we get him.
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce?
Mahomes.
Yeah, same here.
Kelsey's a great tight end, but I think he's only got. I think he even has said he's only got a couple more years before he's done.
Mahomes is Mahomes without Kelce. We've seen it.
Yeah.
Kelce was not Kelce without Mahomes.
Right.
Hopkins or Tony Pollard, both on the Titans. One's wide receiver, one's your running back.
I put Hopkins up.
Yeah. Value on wide receiver currently in the league, right?
Yeah. I think he is, as long as Will Levis is supposed to be what he is, I think Hopkins will be good again, especially with a little help on the other side with what Calvin Ridley has always said it was, right? And
yeah.
I think he can be pretty good. Tony Pollard, just like we said earlier, I feel like he's just not the number one running back for a team. I think he can be a very good number 2 running back. I don't think he's a very good number 1 though.
Right. I agree. Yeah, I don't know. That one was kind of like another neither really.
Yeah.
I value on running backs. I just can't anymore.
Yeah.
But it's like if you're good at drafting, you can get,
both of
you
those.
can get players that are just amazing.
Yeah.
Back to Dallas with Trayvon Diggs or Tyler Guyton. They just drafted Tyler Guyton, so it's not anytime soon. They got him for 4 years, 5 years if they do the option. But he's a generational talent on the offensive line.
Yeah.
You taking someone on the offensive line versus someone over your secondary, or vice versa?
I'm taking Guyton. I feel like Diggs this last couple of years has kind of taken a fall off. It's not that he's a bad corner, but I feel like you can definitely tell he's losing that step.
I don't know what the numbers are, but I feel like he got shredded in that Green Bay game.
Yeah.
Um, that playoff game last year. So, and the last one, but not least, is Indianapolis. They got Michael Pittman Jr. or DeForest Buckner. Again, offense versus defense, but I tried to change it up a little bit by just having to choose quarterback versus wide receiver or whatever. This one is wide receiver um, versus defensive line, right? DeForest Buckner
Yeah. I put
and
Pittman.
career, but
Yeah, I put Pittman. Uh,
yeah,
I think he's a very good wide receiver. We didn't get really a lot of see a lot of him last week or last year.
yeah.
Kind of with the rotation of the quarterbacks for them, but I think he's a great wide receiver. DeForest Buckner's a great defensive. He's tackle, right?
Yeah,
And yeah,
I think
tackle. Um, but I think you kind of invest in the youth there a little bit, and you're kind of trying to get some weapons for Anthony Richardson as well. So I think you kind of go Pittman.
I agree. You have to go age there, really, right? And uh, wide receivers are selling tickets, man.
Yeah,
Not that linemen don't, but I'll tell you, if you go to San Francisco, you see a lot more Jerry Rice jerseys than you do Joey Bosa jerseys. So
right.
you know what I mean. So I don't know. I'm choosing Pittman, but that's the choice, the hard choice you have to make. You know, when it comes to being a GM and contract stuff, that's what makes the interesting. I think is that um, it's you have to stay within parameters of spending money, and it
Yep.
keeps going up. So our way too early 2025 draft, from what we saw from college week one, players that look like they're ready for the next level. Um, there was a bunch of them, of course. But what'd you see? What'd you think?
I got to be honest, with being out in Connecticut, I didn't get a chance to watch a lot other than the Hawkeyes. And then I know who's not, and it's the Florida State quarterback and all them.
Poor kid threw for over 465 yards and still is getting trashed on. But
Yeah.
um,
Just that team for whatever reason. I might put it all on the quarterback just because it's fun that way, but
a lot of it to me is that they do kind of the LeVar Ball stuff. They bring it on themselves. You know what I
yeah,
mean? They take all this stuff. They do all this like boistering stuff, and then they don't back it up.
right.
Yeah. So I'm an Alabama fan. So Ryan Williams, wide receiver, he had 2 catches for I think 139 yards or something, and 2 touchdowns. He
Jeez.
literally only caught the ball for touchdowns. And he's 17 years old. So that's kind of the cool part is like the kid's not turns 18 in December.
Yeah,
Really a kid. And just balling out. Again, it was Alabama against Western Kentucky. If it was the chance for a kid like that to ball out, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like that's where you do that. But so we'll see what he does moving forward. But um, that's the one that stood out on the Alabama. Obviously, I think Jalen Milrow looking good. Um,
not your center.
Never the center. I don't know why. We just cannot. Um, we cannot get a center that can hike the ball in the shotgun.
Yeah,
But it does lead to 4th and 31 miracle great plays. I guess. But my nerves can't take it.
yeah,
Iowa looked like Iowa last year in the first half, and then they looked like a new team in the second half. So whatever
yeah.
happened I didn't watch the whole game. I just saw some highlights. But whatever happened in
The freshmen. The freshman happened.
um,
Vanderzee and Gills.
they went from barely scoring to just scoring at will. It seemed like.
Yeah. We had 3 passing touchdowns. all three were to freshman receivers. Two of them to Vander Zee and one of them to Gill. And then we had 2 rushing touchdowns, but which were both Johnson. I hope it sticks that way. But Ferentz is kind of over the years. His biggest thing is loyalty to his players, and he doesn't start freshmen. So when the freshmen went in, it was like a little exciting, but Ferentz wasn't on the field. Ferentz was suspended for a game.
So he's just back next game.
Yeah, he's back against Iowa State, which is this week.
Yeah, that DJ kid from FSU was the top passing offensive leader with 465 yards, followed by Shadur Sanders, 445, Gio Lopez, 432, Devin Dampier from University of New Mexico, 430, and Hawaii. Most of everybody in week 1 had cupcake games, so
Yeah,
a lot of stats are skewed. But I will say Georgia went 14 ranked Clemson, which is ranked 14th, and they beat up on them. Maybe Clemson shouldn't have been ranked at all.
yeah.
But maybe Georgia is just that good again, you know?
Iowa
knows?
moved up to 20 or 21 now, which is pretty cool. Bama's at 4, right?
Yep, we moved up from 5 to 4. I mean, we looked like we should, though.
Yeah.
Everybody, there's only a few teams like that Georgia Tech team beating whoever they beat over there in Ireland.
Florida State.
Florida State, yeah. So there's some teams that won like that, but very few. Everyone it was like how it should have gone, really, right?
Yeah.
Running backs, top running back was for Boise. He had 267 yards on 20 attempts, averaging 13.4 yards a carry, 6 touchdowns. Longest rush is 77 yards.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then of course the top 10 is rounded out by kind of those. There's SDSU, Ohio, SMU, Rutgers, Nevada, University of New Mexico. So again, a lot of these teams aren't top tier.
Yeah.
Power 5 conference schools that I'm seeing yet, but it's week 1. So Iowa, I just saw Iowa running back on the list there. Caleb Johnson, he's 24th, and he had 11 rushes for 119 yards, 10.8 per rush. So pretty good there.
Yeah.
I think probably a first or second pick in 25 draft. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but our tight end will.
Yeah,
Lockheed.
of course. Yeah, definitely.
Or Lachey, or whatever they call him.
Yeah. Top wide receiver, 10 catches for 304 yards.
Oh my god.
4 touchdowns. Was that McMillan kid from Arizona we talked about?
Oh yeah.
And the funny thing is the quarterback didn't have that many more yards than 304.
Pretty much all to him.
Listening to one guy all day. But it seemed to be doing okay.
If
The second,
don't fix it.
yeah, exactly. Second wide receiver, Damon Ward Jr. had 230 yards, and he's went to North Texas. 2 touchdowns, 230 yards. That's a pretty good day receiving. I mean, geez, your hands got to hurt after that.
Yeah.
So early on, McMillan for wide receivers is looking good. You got Damon Ward, Luke Weissong. I'm going to say that you think early prediction, Shedeur Sanders is a first-round pick. Assuming he goes. He was second yesterday with 45 yards.
I think he ends up being one. Do I think he should be one? I don't know. I think maybe a second, not a first.
I'm not sold on him. I don't know why. 76% completion rating, 445 yards, 26 for 34, averaging 13 yards a throw, and the longest was for 69 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 INT. That's a pretty good day.
Yeah.
And not against much of anybody though, so you should have had a good day.
Yeah.
And we'll see when they. I'm not sold on them as well. I'm not banking my franchise on it either.
No,
personally.
me neither.
On the damn building, every it's just a lot of distraction. And then of course I think if Jalen Milroe wants to come out, he'll be a high pick.
Yeah.
Just based on him being in Alabama, but I don't know if he should be. It's too early to predict anything really, but I'm saying top pick DJ Ugala, #1 pick. He's gonna everyone that talk crap is gonna pay the price.
Yeah. I don't know.
Probably not. But you know, we love a redemption arc. So next week we're gonna be. Oh, sorry.
I got a couple things for you. One, who's that Bears player?
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
All right. So I got some stats here for you.
Let me type them into Google while you're saying them.
Yeah.
I'm teasing.
All right. So first stat did ballet when he was young. Second one is he was a second-round draft pick. Archbishop Murphy High School in Everett, Washington. Two college stats here: 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and 98 tackles. So far in the NFL, he has 1 forced fumble, 1 sack, 5 interceptions, and he's a DB.
Is it Kyler Gordon?
Yep.
The ballet thing, it threw me because I remember like literally reading a book about football NFL players, and it talked about Jerry Rice doing ballet and stuff. And I'm like, oh, what wide receiver?
Yeah.
But then you said tackles and stuff. I only guessed Kyler Gordon because the stuff he does after he does a good play.
Yep. That's what actually was on his page too about that. One of the things I thought was crazy though is his college career is only 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and only 98 tackles.
That's the other part. He went to Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not great numbers.
No, I mean he's already almost surpassed all of those in the NFL in 5 years instead of 4 years, or not 5 years. I'm sorry, 2 years instead of 4 years.
And being injured for part of it too.
Yeah.
I like him. I think he's a sleeper too.
I think so too.
Especially attention to.
Also, something else I thought would be a cool thing is every week now that we're actually in football season, I have four games. I think we should keep track. We pick 4 games, the winners of them, and kind of do a little bit of the college game day or NFL analysis, and we kind of keep score for the year.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
For sure.
So my 4 games. So first one, I got Vikings Giants. Who you taking? You got Giants?
Giants.
I took Vikings.
Yeah. I don't know. I do not want to pick the Giants. I just don't know the quarterback.
Yeah.
Ripping? I'm picking him. You starting him immediately? Yes. But that dude made a squad, dude. That's awesome to me.
Yeah. Darnold's, I mean, the quarterback, right?
I guess. Haven't heard word training camp. Not a damn thing.
Yeah. But he's got Justin Jefferson to throw the ball to.
Yeah. That's true.
All right.
I don't know. After seeing Giants, but I'm picking them. So hopefully that one will put me out ahead of you.
Jags Dolphins, second game.
Dolphins.
I got Dolphins too. I think
you gotta go. It's just, I don't know. I don't trust the Jags.
No, I never do either. A little bit of a grudge game here. Rams Lions. Both the quarterbacks visiting each other, going back to their respective places.
I'm picking Rams.
I got Lions.
If he's healthy, he's good.
Yep.
I'm like a fan, but he is good, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think Lions kind of start out strong again, like they left off last year. But I think they play well. They got
Yeah.
they got some they got a little squad there.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
Let's
I'm
see. Game
feel it.
4, the final game. Cowboys Browns.
Browns.
That's what I had to. I think Browns come out and shock the Cowboys.
Browns are good, man. I think people are asleep on the Browns nowadays, but they're pretty solid.
Yeah.
They're defense good. I mean, they got Miles Garrett. He's a murderer.
Literally.
Literally murdered Mason Rudolph.
Yeah. But I think this will be a fun little game for us to have throughout the season and kind of.
It'd be track, you know, because I mean, the season goes on and you pick these games. I pick them in my head here and there. Who do I think would win? And I never kind of go back and follow it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I think this will be fun and kind of keep an eye on that. But that's what I got for you. I was a little nervous that you wouldn't pick the who's that Bears player, and then we'd kind of have to throw this in the trash because that'd be 0-2.
Right? Maybe that's a thing too. I'm 1-1 now, bud. Of how I'm doing. Yeah. So next week we'll be talking about the Bears and Titans game, which I'm looking forward to seeing a full game of all of our starters and what they can accomplish. Of course, we'll break down some of the key plays, some of the key players, and some of the special players, special plays. Tuesday. Special thanks to Julie Burhai and Lindsay O'Brien for giving us the time, especially on these draft nights where it takes some extra time to get all of our football stuff done. I have a birthday party I'm gonna be at. I literally requested the birthday party have the Bears game on at it because I was scheduled. So that just got verified. That's happening. So I won't have to miss it. Sleep tight. We appreciate you listening. Week, and make sure you follow us on all of our social media links: Instagram, Facebook,
TikTok, YouTube.
Ryan does an awesome job of putting up videos and highlight plays. I'm constantly showing him, hey, did you see this video? And it's one that he put up. So that means it's cool. We'll see you guys next week. Opening week. Get down.
See you, everybody.